The boy king who silenced the guns of a continent is now a ghost haunting its shadows. Once the untouchable architect of a nation's fate, Joseph Kabila is now a man with a death sentence and a target on his back. Hello, I'm Eyerusalem Abrham, you're watching Infofeed. The story of Joseph Kabila does not begin in a palace, but in the frantic, blood-stained corridors of power in January 2001. His father, Laurent Desire Kabila, the man who overthrew the legendary dictator Mobutu Sese Seko, had just been shot dead by one of his own Kadogo child soldiers' bodyguards. The Democratic Republic of the Congo was a shattered mirror, a country occupied by 6 foreign armies and carved up by a dozen warrior rebel factions. At just 29 years old, Joseph was a shy, unproven military commander who spoke better Swahili and English than the French of the Kinshasa elite. When he was sworn in as the world's youngest president, many dismissed him as a placeholder, a boy king who would be devoured by the sharks of Congolese politics within months. Yet Joseph possessed a chilling, quiet patience. He didn't fight the warlords, he invited them to the table. By 2002, he had signed the Pretoria Accord, effectively ending the Great War of Africa. Against all odds, the silent soldier had saved the state from total disintegration. By 2006, Joseph Kabila had transformed from a transition leader into a democratically elected president. The West held him as a visionary, but beneath the surface of the Five Chantier, his massive infrastructure project, a different structure was being built. Kabila began to withdraw from the public eye, retreating to his sprawling 50,000-hectare estate at Kingakati. There, amidst imported zebra and giraffes, he constructed a parallel state. While the official government met in the city, the real decisions were made at his farm. He built a network of loyalty that reached into every corner of the DRC's mineral-rich soil. From cobalt to copper, the nation's wealth began to flow through a web of shell companies allegedly controlled by his families and close associates. He was no longer just a president. He was the CEO of Congo Inc., an untouchable sovereign who governed through silence and shadows. The tragedy deepened in 2016. According to the constitution, Kabila's 2-term limit was up. The people expected a handover, and instead they got Glisment, the sliding. Kabila's administration claimed the country was too broke and too unstable to hold an election. For 2 years, he clung to power as the streets of Kinshasa turned into a battlefield. Catholic priests led marches, and youth activists were hauled off to hidden prisons. Security forces fired live ammunition into a crowd of protesters. The international community, once his biggest cheerleaders, turned their backs. Sanctions were slapped on his inner circle. Kabila renamed and moved at Kingakati, watching the chaos on his monitors, convinced that he was the only thing standing between the Congo and the total anarchy. In late 2018, the pressure became an erupting volcano. Kabila finally lost an election, but the results were a shocking piece of political theater. While observer groups believed the opposition's Martin Fayulu had won in a landslide, the Electoral Commission declared Felix Tshisekedi the winner. It was the ultimate deal of the century. Kabila handed over the presidential sash, but kept the keys to the house. His party retained a massive majority in parliament. His hand-picked judge sat on the high court, and his generals still controlled the mining regions. For 2 years, he governed from the shadows as the senator for life, making it clear to Tshisekedi that the palace was a rental, but the foundation belonged to Kabila. Kabila underestimated his successor's hunger. In 2021, Tshisekedi executed a masterstroke. Using a mix of constitutional maneuvers, threats of prosecution, and alleged massive bribes, he persuaded Kabila's MPs to defect to his new suckered union. In a matter of weeks, Kabila's parliamentary fortress crumbled. His generals were purged, his allies fled, and for the first time in 20 years, Joseph Kabila was a private citizen with no legal shield. The final act is a descent into the fog of rebellion and the shadow of the gallows. By 2024, the eastern DRC was once again in flames as the M23 rebels marched toward Goma. The Tshisekedi government, desperate for a scapegoat and eager to finish off their rival, pointed the finger at Kingakati. They accused Kabila of being the puppet master behind the Congo River Alliance (AFC), claiming he was plotting a military comeback to reclaim his lost empire. Kabila vanished. He slipped across the border, moving between South Africa, Namibia, and Kenya. In his absence, the state he once ruled turned its full fury against him. On September 30, 2025, in a dimly lit military courtroom in Kinshasa, a judge read out a verdict that shifted the course of Congolese history. Joseph Kabila was found guilty of treason, war crimes, and crime against humanity. The sentence? Death. Today, the man who once decided the fate of 100 million people is a ghost on the run. His bank accounts are frozen, his political party is outlawed, and his estates are being carved up by the state. Whether he is hiding in a foreign villa or plotting a return from a rebel camp in the jungle, Joseph Kabila has completed the most dangerous journey in African politics. From the silent savior of a nation to a hunted man, fleeing the very shadows he spent 18 years creating. As the shadow of the Congo's history continues to shift, one question remains. Is Joseph Kabila the last ghost of an old regime trying to reclaim his throne from the jungle, or is he the ultimate scapegoat for a nation that simply cannot find its way to peace?